with Victorian Legal Aid. She develops print and digital content to educate Victorians about their rights and responsibilities under the law. In 2013, she coordinated development of a national Android mobile app for young people produced by VLA in partnership with legal aid commissions and community legal centres across Australia. And I gather we're going to get a preview. Thank you. Yes.
Thanks very much for that, Mary, and thanks for having us along here today. It's fantastic to come along and hear about your projects and also be able to contribute the things that we're learning about digital technology and connecting with audiences through digital technology. I just wanted to start by saying a little bit about my team. Slight technical difficulty here. The Community Legal Education team at Victoria Legal Aid provides legal education to help build knowledge about legal rights and responsibilities among Victorians, and we aim to focus on early intervention as much as possible. The idea that we try to prevent legal problems from arising or get in early and assist people with dealing with them. Thank you. Sorry. We produce a range of plain language education, both digital resources, a web, a phone app as I'm about to talk about, and some video, but we also focus as well on quite a lot of print publications. In the last financial year we distributed more than 688,000 print publications in Victoria, and our team ran about 295 community legal education sessions to a total of 11,000 people. So you can see from that that print is actually still very important as part of our strategy for getting out to people, but more and more digital is becoming a focus for us as well. And we find that those two things, digital and print and community engagement, that we try and, we're finding that these things work as complementary to each other, that one or the other, in terms of digital education, getting out to communities, we find that standalone strategies haven't been as successful, and actually integrating digital technology into other strategies that we have seems to be the way to go at this stage. And I should say, I suppose, that the CLE team, Community Legal Education team, we don't feel by any means that we're experts in digital technology. We're very much learning, and we're trying to experiment and to find our way. And so we really like to, to be able to kind of present what we're doing, but to couch that in terms of we're learning and, the conclusions that we're drawing, particularly in the projects that I'm going to talk about today, are by no means set. We have a whole lot of priority audiences as part of the broader Victorian community, as you can see there. The audience that I want to talk about specifically today is young people, partly because due to demand, that's been a real focus for our team in the last 18 months or so, and partly because it's sort of naturally, because of the type of audience that young people present, I think that digital technology and finding ways to use digital technology has been a key part of our approach in working out how to best develop community legal education strategies for this audience. So there are 3 projects that we've been focusing on for young people in both metro and rural regional areas for the past 18 months or so. And I wanted to talk about those very, very briefly, zoom through them and give you a quick picture of what we've been doing. And the first is the Sex Young People in the Law education program. We've developed an educational kit that's housed online, and this is being rolled out by 13 of our offices across regional Victoria. The second is a mobile phone app, an Android mobile phone app for young people, and that's a direct to young people product. It's available on the Google Play Store, and we market it directly to young people. It's probably the most standalone of our digital strategies. And the third is a project that's in development at the moment, and it's called Learning the Law. It's for years 9 and 10 students who have mild intellectual disabilities and are based in special schools, and the product is for teachers and educators who work with those students. So just to start with the Sex Young People in the Law education program, this actually came out of an initiative developed by the Loddon Campaspe and Victoria Legal Aid staff in their local region, where they found that there was a strong demand for education for young people on the topics of sexting, sex and consent, and age of consent, cyberbullying, and that all of these things were linked, and they were seeing young people coming up constantly with legal problems on these issues. And so the staff in that area developed a program which we later took and versioned and developed further into a series of videos and fact sheets and speakers notes, presentation notes that could be used theoretically by any educators in a classroom setting or any setting with young people. At the moment, we're focused very much on working with our regional officers and developing the capacity of our staff to go out into schools, so the lawyers go out into schools and develop this program and deliver the program to young people. But we hope that in the future that we'll have actually a network of educators, many of whom would be lawyers, but some who might be teachers or other educators who can actually go out and deliver this program wherever it's needed. And we found in consultation with our regional officers that we went around before we started to develop all of the material, that the demand that the London Capacity staff and the VLA staff saw in their region was actually the key questions that were coming up for other staff in other regional areas as well. They said there was a desperate need in schools particularly for education for young people around these topics, and that things like cyberbullying, sexting, issues around sex and consent were just coming up again and again. So, as I said, the digital aspects of this program are the video and the sort of online teachers or educators kit, and that's part of the sort of, I suppose, the strategy that we've used to try and get out as broadly as we can across Victoria. There's other programs, other products that we've developed around these topics, including our new mobile phone app that's about trying to, I suppose, reach young people with multiple strategies and multiple ways of getting out on these topics and trying to get to as many people as possible. So the mobile phone app that we have is called Below the Belt Sex, Selfies, Cyberbullying, and it's an Android phone app that was developed by Victoria Legal Aid in partnership working with other community legal aid commissions around the country and other community legal centres in some states as well, because the content, sorry you can't see the screens up there, the content is, there we go. The content is national, so young people can get access to legal information on these topics in each state and territory, and as I'm sure you know, the law changes particularly around the issue of consent and age of consent. The law changes in each state in Australia. They can get access also to immediate free and low-cost help in their local areas. So there's referral details in the app that are state-based, where young people can basically click on the links, get access to web information, or get access to the phone numbers for agencies in their area that can help around each particular topics. And it also has fun interactive tools, or what we hope are fun interactive tools. There's a calculator built in that is called Am I Legal tool. It's for young people to be able to put in their dates of birth, put in a potential partner or their favourite rock star or whoever it might be, put in their dates of birth, and it actually comes up with the state-specific information about whether or not it's legal for them to engage in particular activities, sexual activities. So, it's a game. We know that young people talk about these things in their social groups, and this is a way of trying to educate them and use a tool that can educate them as well as hopefully, be a little bit appealing and funny and entertaining. The other aspect of the app is a series of empowering e-postcards that they can send to each other. So there's a messaging system set up within the app itself. Young people can sign up to an account and use it to message each other when they're online, much as they could with Skype or other instant messaging systems. And they can attach these e-postcards and send them to one another. And this strategy came out of research that we did that showed that young people really look for ways to back each other up in situations where somebody might be facing, a friend might be facing an issue around bullying or cyberbullying, and they also look for ways to deal with these issues in humorous, non-confrontational ways, and so we wanted to provide them with some ways that they could back each other up. The third project that we've worked on in the digital space for young people around these topics is called Learning the Law, and as I said, this is an e-learning toolkit for educators in special schools, and it's made to educate students with mild intellectual disabilities about relationships and social media, police powers and ticket inspectors. And it's made up of a series of short videos, so about 90 seconds each. Short videos, interactive activities that students could potentially do on tablets, iPads or other types of tablets, and visual dictionary, teachers' notes, homework activities, and information for parents. And we've got launched into this project in partnership with the Department of Education. So the whole thing will be housed on their website and teachers will access it through that website. And the department's actually been quite instrumental in giving us a way to access special schools and find an audience and be able to consult really extensively with teachers to work out what it is that young people with mild intellectual disabilities need. And as you can see, the topic areas are very similar, but the actual educational approach and the way that we use the digital tools to try and reach young people is a little bit different for this particular audience. And I did want to show you, if there's time, a couple of the films that we produced. So this film was produced about driving and dealing with police.
Use it at the bottom right.
My sister said we can use her car. She also said you don't need your mummy and daddy to help you.
That's what she said.
Sorry, I'll just take this back. Buddy. No. It's an automatic. And also got like you can drive automatic.
I know, I'm awesome. But like, I don't know else. If I drive without my parents besides me, there's a better chance I'll crash.
My sister said we can use her car. She also said you don't need your mummy and daddy to help you.
That's what she said.
It'll be like 5 minutes. I'll help you drive.
You don't even have a license.
So, I guess we'll help. We're very helpful. David, chill out. We're just going up to Raymond's. Just don't put your own lights up. Fine. I'll drive.
Okay. I'll drive.
Thanks. I think we're not going to have time for the second video, unfortunately. I just had a couple of key points to finish with that I think from these projects, you know, that have particular application, particularly for rural and regional audiences, but also we find for metro audiences. And the first is that I think in each of these projects we've found that strategic partnerships with organisations that have direct capacity to roll out and experience with the particular audience group, this has been of critical importance. And in my experience working with rural audiences in the past, this is also, I think, a really important thing to deal with in projects. And the digital technology itself is not the end game. We have recognised mostly that digital content needs to be embedded in broader educational strategies, and this includes face-to-face as well as print media, particularly with our mobile phone app, which, as I said, was the most standalone digital project. We have found that it's been difficult to get that out and actually get the installs from young people just based on that project alone. And so we're looking at ways to embed it further into some of the educational strategies that we have, the face-to-face sessions. We've actually put it on the front cover of our booklet that we distribute 55,000 copies a year of. We've made sure that we link all of the topics in this booklet, Am I Old Enough?, that goes through some of the things about sexting, age of consent, and tell young people they can also get access to digital information in an app. And we think that other strategies like that are going to be important to get that product out there and moving. So it's not just about digital, it's about how you use digital and how you reach young people or your audience, your chosen audience through that platform. And I think consciously thinking that through, learning from it, and identifying areas where things maybe don't work the way that you expected them to work, and making sure that you get out there and really evaluate, which is what we're planning to do with all of these projects over the next 12 to 18 months, evaluate as strongly as we can and learn from our experience. So thanks very much for having me today.
Anything on link?
Yeah,
Sorry, Mary, yeah.
Helen has actually posted something which might be worth reading. I'm not sure that you can answer it straight away. Just gets a bit of notification. And this has been making me nervous.
Yeah.
So could you perhaps, I can read it to you. Allyson, these are great initiatives. Chuffed that VLA are active in this space. At the Hume Riverina CLS, we have an online wills project which supplements our CLE. We did it as a proof of concept with Helen Thompson's team at Federation University. We're seeking to partner with an organisation to help us to keep it live, i.e. monitor activity and to develop content. Ideally, it would apply beyond Victoria. Could you suggest any national organisation to help us to promulgate and promote this e-learning tool? It's called Strong Will.
The audience, what's the audience for this tool? Is it?
So it's people who haven't got life plan documents in place.
Right,
So
okay.
there's significant research that indicates that there's a significant portion, you know better than me, of people who don't have wills or powers of attorney
Sure.
in place.
Sure.
So it's a novel way of gaining type approach to establishing a will as an outcome.
Yeah, yeah. I think it sounds like a fantastic initiative. I suppose I'm not an expert in this area, but my initial thoughts would be to look for organisations that perhaps we don't think of as organisations with strong digital presence, but organisations that have a direct connection into the communities that you're trying to target. So if that's, for example, people from, say, their 30s onwards into middle age and beyond, and looking at trying to get them to start forward planning. I think looking at organisations that perhaps reach people face-to-face in rural areas and promoting to them and getting them to actually champion the website or the product to their audience and their community. That to me seems like it would be a strategy that could try. Just saying to people, and particularly I think people that don't necessarily, not like young people, don't necessarily see digital as exciting in and of itself. Just saying we have a website or we have an app or we have some new whiz-bang video is not necessarily appealing. It's got to come, I think the message has to come through people they trust and sources that they feel are championing their interests.
I think, James, you would agree.
One more question.
Richard, just the app that you were talking about, Allyson, you were saying that it will give people their contact details in their local area, so it tracks where they are, as long as you've got that tracking on.
It doesn't, we don't switch on the geolocators in the app, and we tell young people generally not to switch on their geolocators as a safety issue. What we do is get them to set up an account and they nominate which state they're in, and so it provides state-based. And we're talking about organisations that have like CASAs and Kids Helpline, and there's a few other in different states, particular organisations that young people connect with. And so once the young people have nominated their state, or they can change their state if they move across state lines, it gives them those contacts. But they can also get in and access any contacts, just going through a different menu structure in the app.
I just want to ask one more question.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
tight on this, but just overall, in terms of the cost of the apps, of the videos, of the programs compared with past paper-based deliveries and the advantage of that, I suspect, is quite costly, but I also suspect you're reaching a broader audience. Is that?
Well, we feel with young people in particular that, you know, with these digital products that we are, and that it's setting us up to be able to continue to entice them into thinking about legal issues into the future. Just briefly, the app I think cost around $41,000 to produce, and I think the Learning the Law videos and the website, the sort of interactive toolkit that will house those videos, cost a similar amount. I'd have to go back and check that with the project manager, but you know, it is costly, and we find the higher quality you want to go, and we need to go high quality with kids because they're used to Hollywood movies. The higher quality, the more expensive it is. But you know, in terms of getting out there and reaching that audience and being able to potentially connect with them at their level, and then to use it as a way of promoting our engagement strategies, our print strategies, to integrate all of those things, we feel like it's money well spent at the moment.
And there was one question through Link from Nick Manning. He asked why not iPhone, why don't you just leave it to Android?
It's a good question. It always comes up, and I think I forgot to say. We only had money. It was budget issues. We had money for one platform. We wanted to do an app because we wanted the particular tools, the functional tools that you can only at the moment get with app development. And so we chose Android because it's the largest platform in Australia, but also because the phones are a little bit cheaper, and we thought that more young people from our target audiences, which are not necessarily private school kids, more young people, you know, from that background, those backgrounds might have access to Android phones than iPhones. It's very difficult because there's actually not a lot of data out there about people under 18 and mobile phones, partly because the parents are the ones, or guardians are the ones that sign the contracts before they're under 18. So it was hard to get to make a decision on the platform, but we feel as though Android was the way to go.
So there's two more brief
Well,
questions.
we might come back to the
One can
inputs
answer
where
very quickly. The last one, were there any on costs after the 41,000 for the app?
If we decide to redevelop or change the app, the structure of the app, there will be in the future. Not to the same extent though. We expect that we might end up with sort of 10% of that spend. There's no on cost. We had it built into our contract that we could do text updates for the first 18 months, I think, without any additional costs. So, and we had to do that because we knew that there was potential legal change coming around sexting in Victoria.
Thanks, Allyson.
Thank you.
It's sad, I must say, but still, I'm not the target audience. Under you, Mary.